IVM.
One of the best financial decisions I have made recently is shifting all my credit card payments to credit. It's extremely easy and convenient. You're even reminded when your bills are due, and the app looks for hidden charges on your bills. So just pay your bills on time and stand a chance to win some amazing rewards. So don't miss out, download Cred and get paid for being good. Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa presented by Cred, the most rewarding credit card bill payments app and powered by Quarter. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter, and this is a debt fund special. Haven't done that in a very long time, like really long time. My guest is Sandeep Bagla, CEO, Trust AMC, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about debt funds in general and short-term debt funds and specifics. But before that, let's take a short credit convenience break, and we'll be right back on the other side. Security on a computer is like a layered cake. No matter how secure each layer may be, attackers and hackers will work tirelessly to find a vulnerability and exploit it. These cyber attacks can sneak into a system unnoticed, eventually gaining access to all the programs and files on a computer stack. Luckily, with the Intel vPro platform, all of this is avoidable. Intel vPro has the Intel Hardware Shield, which adds protection to every layer of the computer system with 3 groups of security capabilities. Advanced Threat Protection, which helps quickly detect and remediate the latest ransomware and crypto mining attacks on the system. Below the OS Security, which helps identify unauthorized changes to hardware and firmware. And Application and Data Protection, which helps prevent memory corruption and malware injection. So, secure your organization's productivity with hardware-based security only with Intel vPro. Visit www.intel.in/IT-heroes to know more. Intel vPro, built for business. Sandeep, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you, Anupam. This is my first time on a podcast, and I love to talk about fixed income and try to make it easier for the audience and just people to understand. So I am thankful for you to invite me on the show.
Fantastic. Welcome to the world of podcasts. I hope that you go on and spread the message about debt funds because they're a very important part of our portfolio. So first, let's start with Trust Mutual Fund. I think you guys might be the latest and therefore the youngest mutual funds on the block. So if you can just tell us something about the Trust Group in general overall, and also about Trust Mutual Fund, the various schemes that you have or you're going to launch.
So Trust Group has been founded, it just completed 20 years. It's a group started by Nipa and Utpal Seth. The flagship company is called Trust Investments. Trust Investment Advisors holds licenses for merchant banking, for PMS, as well as the AMC license. The group has been known for its forays into fixed income markets mostly. It has been a business to business B2B company. So there has been no need for widespread advertising. The mainstay of the group has been debt capital markets, and we have been among the top 5 debt raisers, so to say, or debt underwriters in the corporate bond market for the last 10 years. And we have been among the top 5 consistently. And we have also done some unique structures like the first collateralized mortgage-backed securities was done by us. For UP Power Corporation, we raised an astounding 10,000 crores worth of bonds by getting their ratings higher by 4 notches by unique structuring by us. So not only in terms of bond underwriting or distribution or bond management, are we well established in the fixed income markets? We also have done some unique structures. So that makes us quite a unique player. And we had, pioneered the bond PMS back in 2008. Then we have an equity PMS under the wealth name called Chanakya Wealth Creators. They have about 6,000 crores under management. In bonds in PMS and advisory, we have about 14,000 crores under advice or management. We also have a wealth boutique arm called Trust Plutus, which advises the high net worth individuals or family offices, which is about 11,000 crores now. So for the last 10 years, we have, been advising very successfully uh, HNIs and family offices for almost $3 billion. And that is something which is not known about the group. And this is the first time that the mutual fund with the mutual fund venture, we are stepping out in the world of more retail. So
It's very interesting, folks. So if any of you actually works in corporates or has any exposure at all to the massive, and it is massive, debt market in India, okay, which is like Sandeep just said, it's more institutional, right? It's not very retail facing, other than, of course, the debt mutual fund part. The debt mutual fund part is just one tiny part of this massive institutional debt market which we have in India. Or call it the wholesale debt market, whatever. If you're someone who's working there, you would have heard of the Trust Group. Again, they are really big. They are really old and they are seriously good at what they do. So, yeah, Sandeep, so let's jump into debt mutual funds. Okay, so what's been happening in debt funds in this pandemic era? Because now we are about 18 months into this. Equity markets are, of course, booming. We can see that equity is, of course, a little bit more accessible, little bit more understandable for retail. For retail people, they have a Sensex, they have a Nifty, so they can understand कि भाई क्या हो रहा है. Debt mutual fund is, so that segment is huge. It's also a little bit complicated. Just so if you look at till the end of 2019 when things were normal, people used to say one of the best, one advice that used to go on in the street is that always choose liquid funds over fixed deposits. And 1 year later now fixed liquid funds are giving some 3-4%, and fixed deposits suddenly look uh, attractive. But other than that, just help our listeners with what's been happening in debt in the debt market from a mutual fund perspective.
So in mutual funds, a lot of things have changed in the debt markets in terms of the classification of various mutual fund schemes. So SEBI as a regulator has proactively come and tried to make the market more structured. And they are still, the process is ongoing, where the risk and the potential risk in a scheme is getting classified very clearly for the investors. Now, as you mentioned, liquid fund or the overnight funds are the entry point of debt funds. And typically what we have seen is that liquid funds have been able to give fair competition to fixed deposits. Now, fixed deposits, obviously, one important thing that is how much interest you will get for holding for what period of time. However, in debt funds, one can only get an approximation by the portfolio yield. And the portfolio yield is not a great indicator because interest rates can move, credits can change their rating, spreads can compress, and so many other factors which can either increase the returns from debt or the returns could be lower than what the portfolio yield indicated. Now, the longer maturity bonds are, very sensitive to interest rate movements. And there have been periods in debt markets where the returns have been very handsome. And by handsome, I mean double digit, 15 to 20% for income funds and gilt funds, where because of the interest rate movements, you could earn capital gains. And there have been periods where for 2-3 years successively, debt funds have given extremely good returns. What has currently been happening in the last 2 years, I would say, is that the central banks globally have infused huge amount of liquidity in the global markets by purchasing assets from their local markets. So US Fed has put in a lot of dollars, and that liquidity, the global liquidity combined with the local liquidity infused by RBI, is keeping interest rates low. And some would argue that probably lower than what is required at this current stage, because the economic recovery seems to be fairly solid and stable, and there might not be the need for the real economy to get so much support from the central bankers. Now, our interest rates are typically the most tracked yield is the 10-year government securities yield. Now, government is the largest borrower in the market, and their 10 years sort of sets the benchmark for other parts of the yield curve and the corporate bond yield curve also. So that is what is most tracked. And typically, I have seen that the 10-year bond trades at about 250 basis points higher than expected inflation. Now, by that parameter or by that metric, we should expect the 10-year to be closer to 6.5 or 7%. But given the fact that probably most central bankers believe that inflation numbers, the high inflation numbers are transitory and they will come down, probably the 10-year would not go up so much. However, there are multiple parts of the fixed income markets. There are short-end curves, shorter in bond funds, which are not so interest rate sensitive and give more stable returns because they are giving you a 2 to 3 year exposure to the interest rate curve. Most of the bonds are bond schemes today that are popular are open ended. That means an investor can get in and get out at any point of time. The returns are somewhat subdued right now because of the excess liquidity. But over a period of time, I think those numbers are going to get more normalized. The returns in the past 1 year have been fairly flat, but because of the COVID-19, the returns on mutual funds had been quite handsome, but they have sort of plateaued out, and the bond markets seem to be more on a wait and watch mode.
Very interesting. I mean, I want to ask you. Next question is the outlook going forward. Okay. On the equity side, of course, there's a lot of people who believe that 2021 is like 2003, and India is on the cusp of a major recovery. And we all know that if you look at the interest rate cycle, then from the 90s to just about late 2003, interest rates in India really fell. If you remember, at least when I was doing my CA back in the 90s, you used to have double your money in 5 years kind of debentures and fixed deposits and a lot of schemes, and they were quite popular at that point of time. So interest rates, they were 12, 15%, whatever. I think even the 10-year at that point of time was that high. Money was really expensive. Then gradually it just came down, and I think by 2003, my guess is that the 10-year would have come down to maybe 7 or 8%, if I remember correctly. And from there, you had, rates went up and everything, boomed as the economy moved forward. What's your view? What is Trust AMC saying about the outlook for India in general and for debt mutual funds in specific across each probably category going forward?
Okay, so let's break the interest rates into or mutual fund schemes into various parts. There is one which is a liquid fund, which is, let's say, 3 month maturity. And Anupam, it is very clear to FD investors that the longer you keep, the higher interest rate you get. So the debt mutual funds are also categorized in a very similar manner. So up to 1 year, we call them money market mutual funds. So there are 3 types of funds or 4 types of funds there: overnight, liquid, ultra short, and low duration fund. So there the returns are mostly based on the rates set by RBI and the amount of liquidity in the system, and not so much on the inflation outlook. So their returns would be between 3 and 4%, as you said. The reverse repo rate, which is the operational rate, is at 3.35. So the overnight money typically trades between 3/4 and 3/2. And hence, all the short term instruments are also following that kind of rate structure. And they are yielding a fairly low 3/2 to 4%. Now, if you were to classify, the next big classification is 1 to 3 years or 1 to 4 years, which is short term to medium term. Now, short term bond fund, which has a duration of 1 to 3 years, as defined by SEBI, is the one of the main mutual fund schemes and has become extremely popular. So, just to give you an example, about 1,40,000 crores would be in short term funds. And why this number is actually smaller than what it is because there are other funds which have been launched, which are very similar to the way short-term funds work. So you have a banking and PSU debt fund, you have a short-term fund, you have a corporate bond fund, you have a credit fund. These are all, variations of the mother brand, which is the short-term funds. So short-term funds, as they indicate, is what investors can invest for 2 to 3 years, or as low as 6 months to 1 year as well. without risking their principal too much. Now, while we did a recent study with CRISIL. So CRISIL is our strategic knowledge partner, and CRISIL did a study for us. And the short-term fund design that we had, CRISIL backtested it for last 5 years and saw that the returns would have been between 4 to 12% if one held for at least 1 year. So if one held for 1 year, you would not see a negative return. The worst return would be 4%, and the best would be 12, and the average was 8.6%.
Wow.
And any observation above 6% was at about 86% of the times. So it was consistently above 6 for a 1 year holding period. Now, retail people or individuals do have an exposure to fixed income markets, only they don't realize it. They put money in insurance or bank fixed deposits. Banks also invest in bonds, or insurance companies also invest in bonds. But now you have the opportunity of having a balance in your portfolio by putting money in direct equities, uh, bond mutual funds or debt mutual funds, and direct bonds as well. So now the choice for the individual investor is far higher. There are platforms which are available which help you invest at the click of a button. So I am quite hopeful that going forward, the retail participation will increase because they will realize that this is the stable component of their portfolio, which helps them weather the storms when equity markets becomes more volatile. Today we are all very happy that investments are doing well because of equity markets. But it's not too far back that we saw in the period of March, April, May 2020, when because of COVID, markets were falling like nine pins, and it seemed that there was no future. But thankfully, because of the low incidence of COVID and proactiveness of central bankers, the interest rates were lowered and the markets recovered far better than what anybody expected. Also, people did not realize that you don't have to go to Delhi to speak to a person in Delhi from Bombay. You could do it over a Zoom call or over any other platform provided by so many providers. So it has increased the efficiency, cut down unnecessary costs, which is getting reflected in the equity markets, and the larger companies have become better. In fixed income markets, I think markets are still, as I said earlier, wait and watch mode. If inflation is transitory indeed, then interest rates will again come down slightly more or stay stable. If inflation is persists, then we have a situation where the 10-year yield will go up, in my opinion, from anywhere between 50 to 100 basis points. Now, the shorter end of the curve, as I said, the short-term bond fund or the liquid fund, the short-term bond fund has a maturity of 2 to 3 years. And there the yields have already hardened quite a lot. So that's giving a return of anywhere between 5 to 5.5. And that means that some interest rate hikes are already built in. And there's a beautiful concept of roll down in fixed income, which is not appreciated by most, even the fixed income participants. A 3-year bond that you buy today becomes a 2-year bond after 1 year. And then you can sell or mark to market that bond as a 2-year bond rather than a 3-year bond. So suppose you buy something today at 5.5%, and which is a 3-year rate, and after 1 year, the 2-year rate is 5%. Then you earn interest of 5.5 plus you get some capital gains of maybe 1%, which takes your interest to 6.5%. So people who invest in fixed deposits miss out the possibility of generating capital gains when interest rates go down. So that is the biggest downside of fixed deposit, that there is no upside. So, with bond funds, you can remain invested for long periods of time, and you can gain both from the stability of income perspective, which comes from the coupons of the bonds, and the possibility of interest rates going down and bonds going up, thereby increasing the returns.
I want to just spend 2 minutes more on roll down. Okay,
Sure,
because
sure.
as I completely agree with you. This is a concept not understood very well by a lot of people, especially I myself didn't know it till a couple of months ago, I had actually to Google ki, bhai, what is roll down. I'd heard of laddering, of course, because we had we had Radhika and Mukesh during the Bharat the Bharat bond ETF, so we knew what laddering was at that point of time. But I'm from an equities background, so मुझे roll down क्या है तो मुझे पता नहीं. Hey, equity is simple, buy and hold, खत्म.
बिल्कुल
Should we
बिल्कुल.
just take this a little
So
bit, just a little bit in depth
absolutely.
and
So I'll give you an
understand?
example. So आज की तारीख में today, we know the 1 year yield is, let's say, anywhere between 4 to 4 quarter. So if you want to deploy your money for 1 year, you can buy a simple bond or do an FD at 4%, and you will get your 4%. No problem. However, let's take an example where the 2 year bond is trading at 5%. Now you will buy the 2 year bond today and hold for 1 year. But after 1 year, you will have to redeem from that mutual fund or sell that bond. Let's take the mutual fund example. Now, a 2 year bond in a mutual fund portfolio or a mutual fund portfolio, debt portfolio, which has a 2 year maturity, and it rolls down. It rolls down, the maturity comes down over a period of time. And after 1 year, the residual maturity is only 1 year. So the portfolio has, so to say, rolled down from 2 years to 1 year. Now, if you remember at the beginning of the example, we said that the 1 year rate is 4%. If interest rates do not change in 1 year, then the bond that you bought at 5% and enjoyed the higher income at 5% is now become a 1 year bond. And mind you, this is not a fixed deposit. That bond now you can sell or gets marked to market in your portfolio of the mutual fund as a 1 year bond. In interest rates, so one rule in fixed income markets is if interest rates goes down, the price of the bond goes up, and the longer the maturity of the bond, the higher is the percentage increase. So even for the 2 year bond, if it after 1 year, if you're selling it at 4%, which is 100 basis points lower than the 5% which you bought, you get 1% increase in your price of the bond. So your return has actually gone up to 6%. That is the roll down, the power of roll down. And we have seen that there's always this persistent steepness at the shorter end of the curve from, let's say, 0 to 3 years. So as people want to give away money for a longer period of time, you have to compensate them more for keeping them for letting them you use the money. So the 1 year rate could be 4%, the 2 year could be 5, and the 3 year could be 6. Now, this consistent steepness allows people to invest even with shorter term horizons of, let's say, 1 year, to invest in a combination of 2 and 3 year bonds, which gives you not only the initial higher coupon, but also because of roll down structures, the mark to market also improves. So, which is what leads to the consistency of the short-term funds and the roll down because of the roll down.
Also probably builds a case for you to see the 3 years. I mean, if you're allocating money into a debt mutual fund, then you should stay out that entire tenure. If you're going for a short-term fund, which is for 1 to 3 years, then you put it in 2021, wait for it to mature till 2023, and you'll get both. You'll get interest plus capital appreciation. Am I right in assuming that?
That's right. That's right. That's the only caveat here, Anupam, is that if interest rates go up, and if they go up moderately, for example, if they move from 4 to 5%, the 1 year rate in our example moves from 4 to 5% in 1 year, which is a large move, 100 basis points, but it is still okay if it's over 1 year. You still don't make any capital loss and you make 5% return. However, if interest rate were to move 2% higher in that 1 year period, then your return would come down from 5% to maybe 4% or 3.5%. So, we must avoid taking exposure to longer term debt funds when we expect economy to do well, when we expect that inflation might go up, when we expect that RBI might hike rates. So typically RBI would hike rates when inflation is high, when demand is strong. And probably this is the reason why RBI or other central bankers are still circumspect, because the demand side is still suspect. We are not sure whether the demand is going to sustain in the future, or whether it's going to taper away. So with so much liquidity, the demand is there. But if you remove the liquidity and increase interest rates, do we think that the demand is going to be there? Probably no. So that is the tough balancing act played by the central bankers. And as market participants, we are very closely looking out as to what they are saying and what they are doing. And what they are doing right now is keeping interest rates low, and we are all sort of hoping that inflation will come down because demand is not strong, and supply side inflation uh, is something which probably central banks cannot do much about. So since demand is weak, there is hardly any wage inflation. So we expect that this is a passing phase, and mind you, it could be 1 year, 2 years, because central bankers obviously have longer time horizon than individuals. So that is where we are in terms of debt markets.
Yeah, I mean, you hear the RBI governor saying quite. He's repeated the whatever it takes line very often in the last when this entire pandemic is started. I think they're still in accommodative phase. Have I got that word right?
Yeah, yeah. So accommodative phase is very interesting. So I was giving this example to my team one day, and I said, "What is accommodative phase?" Accommodative phase is when a bad piece of data will be ignored, and a good piece of data will be reacted upon. So it's like when you are working in your office and your boss is in an accommodative stance with you. So you make couple of mistakes, he will give you the benefit of doubt, right? And say, okay, abhi theek ho jayega. Things will improve. And if you do, couple of good deeds, you will be rewarded by, a hefty bonus or a promotion. So the stance is basically that RBI is more tolerant of any transitory data which is against the current policy.
Wow. Okay, it's very interesting. Central bank speak is that understanding that itself is requires one certain bent of mind, something that probably us equity guys can't really understand. But folks, on that note, let's take a small credit convenience break, and we'll be back with more on the trust short term fund and the other products. My guest, Sandeep Bagla, CEO, Trust AMC.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however, and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into a show about crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM Podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
Folks, we've got a listener question.
Hey Anupam, I'm tracking global companies and I want to check out their latest investor releases. Where can I do that?
Yep, I hear you, man. All of us are tracking global companies these days. Our portfolios have become diversified. We're investing in global stocks. And if you want to track the global companies, big companies like a Tesla or Apple or a Facebook or a Google, you would want to check out their quarterly results, right? And the investor releases, which has a conference call and presentations, analyst presentations and stuff like that. Where do you do that? Well, you've got the Quarter app. The Quarter app gives you a big exposure to global companies also. So if there's any company in the US, you will get it on the Quarter app sitting here in India. And that means the result table, the investor presentation, the conference call, all of that on the Quarter app. That's QUARTR. And welcome back to this episode. My guest, Sandeep Bagla, CEO, Trust AMC. Sandeep, so let's dive into your latest offering, right? Or actually, if you could just tell our listeners, what are the products that you have on the Trust Mutual Fund side? And then we can go to the short-term fund in specific. I think you had your first product a couple of months ago, earlier this year. That was one product, and this I think is the second product, right? So tell us more about it.
Yeah, so we had 3 products, and our launch actually got delayed because of the COVID. As soon as there was a break in COVID and cases started coming down, we launched our first fund, which was the banking and PSU debt fund. So in that, 10% as per SEBI regulations has to be put in government securities for liquidity, and 80% has to be kept in bonds issued by banking and PSU. Now, the debt markets had gone through a tough time because of certain defaults and downgrades in the past, and most of the investors have become cautious, where they want to protect the return of the capital rather than the return on the capital. So we have partnered with CRISIL as our knowledge partner, and CRISIL helps us in backtesting our fund design, creating a universe for us based on some objective rules between us and the CRISIL team, and helps create a model portfolio which acts as a barometer of performance of the underlying asset class. So, we also came out with a unique strategy called limited active, where the fund manager is allowed only limited deviation from that model portfolio. And the structure of the bond portfolio is very, very robust and well designed and well structured. Now, CRISIL updates this model portfolio and the universe every 2 to 3 months, so that it changes with the changing reality on the ground. And this is perhaps the most transparent method of investing in fixed income markets today. So, which is why when we launched our banking and PSU debt fund, out of, let's say, 210 AAA rated companies with our stringent filters, we decided on a portfolio universe of about 58, 60 companies. So all our funds currently are investing in companies which are rated AAA, and their structures, some of the structured papers that they have issued could be rated slightly lower, in which we take exposure. So in banking and PSU debt fund, we started as a 3.5 year roll down fund, and it has just completed 6 months. The performance of the fund, although it has been somewhat passive, the performance has been quite handsome, and we are in the top, 2 or 3, or perhaps at the top of the pile in terms of banking and PSU funds. So that has been a pleasant surprise for us and our investors. The corpus of the fund is close to 700 crores now, and the investors have been rewarded with for their patience and for their good selection of the fund manager. So in fact, ICRA has rated our funds because of CRISIL's close involvement in the development of the design. It would be a potential conflict of interest, so we took rating from ICRA. Then we launched a liquid fund, and as you said correctly, that liquid funds today are offering fairly low returns compared to FDs. So the return, it's mostly an institutional fund as of now. And a few days back, 2, 3 weeks back, we launched the short-term fund. Now, the short-term fund, as I told you, is again, the one of the biggest fund categories in the mutual funds. It has about 1.5 lakh crores of securities in that, and our fund is rated AAA by ICRA, and again has CRISIL as a strategic knowledge partner, and invests between 1 to 3 year average duration. The maximum maturity of a paper could be 5 years, and it's completely AAA rated bonds. So within AAA also, because of our filters, we don't take yields are very high compared to other AAAs. So if you recall, 2.5 years back, when there were some rapid downgrades and defaults by Diwan Housing, ILFS Group, ADAG Group, those companies, while they were rated AAA at some point of time, the spreads over other AAAs was very high. So which was an early warning signal that there could be potentially something wrong with the company. And the market as a whole was not willing to give them the same pricing as other AAA assets. So one of our filters removes companies whose spreads are very high compared to other AAAs, thereby precluding this possibility of inclusion of any companies who are a credit risk. CRISIL, in fact, backtested our design for the last 5 years and found that there was no rating default. There were only 4 or 5 cases of single notch default downgrades of some banks, or because they were restructuring. So in a period of when the industry saw so many defaults, by simply following our 4 filter method, the entire situation could have been averted. So if you are objective, and if you have a good partner, and if you are structured, then you don't aim for the highest return, but you aim for consistency and you aim for stability. So that's what we are aiming for. Our combined, we have launched 3 funds so far, and the latest offering is short-term fund.
Okay, let's just go look at this. Look at the short-term fund with regard to how what you said in the first half. I like how this is placed, right? Because, like you said, that once you go on the longer end, the duration, say the 10 years or the 6, 7, I don't know, something that's 5 to 10 years, you're probably taking a little bit more risk as the curve goes higher. I mean, it's just logical, right? If I'm lending money to you, if you give it back to me soon, then obviously the rates are lower. If you give it back to me after a long time, I have to take that risk कि भाई कल कुछ हो गया नहीं हो गया क्या पता. And then you've got the liquids, like you said, which are at wherever 3.5 or 4. Tell us about the importance of short-term debt funds, okay? And let's look at it from two perspectives. What type of investor is this good for, okay, in your opinion? And what type of investor should typically stay away from this? Just so that expectations are aligned for our listeners.
So anybody who's looking for listing gains should avoid it.
I like how you said that. Listing gains, like the IPO this IPO boom is going on. So if you're looking for a Zomato kind of, please explain, Sandeep. Please explain. I like.
So so short-term funds typically will make investments in 1 to 5 year bonds, which will give you returns of between 5 to 5.5% at this point of time. Now, my personal opinion at this point of time is that the credit risk, if taken properly in a structured manner, there's nothing wrong at any cycle. Credit risk can be taken and should be taken. However, we at this point of time have a product which is structured as AAA, and most of the industry and my peer group are also gravitating towards 90%, 95% AAAs, because that is what the institutional investor is more comfortable investing in. So the returns are close to 5 to 5.5. The fees are low, and short-term fund basically will help you, tide over periods of low interest. As and when the bonds mature in the portfolio, they will be replaced by other bonds of, higher yields, and you will be able to, tide over low interest rate periods. Given the inflation today, and the returns of 5.5%, it seems that we are in a situation where we are just about beating inflation by investing in fixed income. And in short-term funds, the impact of roll down is very strong. So what we said in the earlier part, that the curve on the shorter end of the curve between 0 to 3 years is fairly steep, and that gives a good amount of roll down opportunities on the curve. So as fund managers, we will be looking actively on the yield curve where there are more opportunities on roll down, and which will give more stability and opportunities for generating capital gains as well for our investors. Also, I think one part which is missed out is, and a lot of investors, when they invest, they stay invested for 3 years. And if you stay invested for 3 years, the debt funds can get, they are subject to long-term capital gain, and they get indexation benefit also. So in a situation where you have indexation of 5% every year, if you hold for 3 years, it's quite probable that your returns would be entirely tax-free, or at least a large part of the returns would be tax-free because of the indexation benefits. So that is another advantage which the mutual fund investors get when they invest in mutual fund schemes.
I was in fact going to ask that. So you're saying that so one is that in debt funds, the period of holding is 3 years. In equity, I
Yes.
think it's 1 year, right? So you're saying that if you take a short-term debt fund that's of whatever 3 year duration or even a 5 year duration, that's fine, and you actually hold it till that 3 year duration, a very good chance that the amount with which the indexation is going up is, let's say, mota moti broadly the same as the return that you're getting on the on your debt mutual fund, or even if it is a bit higher, you actually save on the tax that you might pay. Did I understand that right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So, when we launched the banking in PSU, we launched in February, and the intention was about 3.5 year maturity. So most of the bonds would mature in June, July 24. So people could actually get 4 indexation benefits if they invested that time. So, it's a very effective way of, increasing the post-tax returns of your portfolio without the incumbent volatility, which is associated with, with equity funds.
Great. So let's wrap up this episode with a very hot topic. Okay, I mean, you spoke about listing gains. That, of course, is one hot topic. But this passive fund wave is hitting debt funds also. A lot of people are now saying, why they're considering ETFs in debt as well. What's your view on this? Should investors, even within debt funds, should they stick with passive? Because equities, of course, there's this whole school of thought that says that you should, in fact, be going with passive because of whatever X, Y, Z reasons. What's your view on the debt side?
So debt side, so there is no right or wrong. At certain opportunities, passive is better. In certain markets, the active funds will outperform. So in debt, there are multiple opportunities, especially when one runs the bond fund in an unconstrained manner. Mm, when, there could be opportunities in the credit markets where credit spreads could come down. So, when equity is doing well, look at all the metal companies. Recently I saw that the international rating of Tata Steel went up. So that would mean the bond prices would have also gone up. So, always opportunities in the credit market as well. Then on the interest rates, when interest rates are expected to go down, the longer term bond funds would increase their maturity, and the possibility of capital gains would lead to, second double digit returns for years. So all those are opportunities which arise from time to time. And what FDs or the passively managed funds, or there are certain funds which completely roll down to maturity. They underplay those themes. So I think there is always, room for active management. And as various, statistics have shown, that not everybody can win all the time. So not all active fund managers will outperform the passive fund managers. But one must understand that the it is not the birthright of the investor to get the return of the best asset class. So in debt, it very happens, when bond markets are doing well or gilt funds are giving 20% return. People want that return, and that's rightly so. People, who take the right view get the returns. But when the reverse happens, when the returns are -2% or +2%, then people feel that you should have at least generated the liquid fund returns, which is at 3 or 4%. So you can chase returns, you can chase active fund management, but it comes with a risk. And one of the risks is that are you choosing the right fund manager or the right fund vehicle? And I think it is the market has not matured so much, whether to choose the funds, or let me put it another way, the interest rate cycles have become very short. So there is no trend. There is no very clear trend about which way interest rates are headed. So when interest rates are coming down, as we discussed, that from 10, 11%, it came down to 5, 6% over 4, 5 years. Everybody, could understand that interest rates are coming down. And irrespective of when they entered in the fixed income markets, they made money and they made double-digit returns. For 3, 4 years, it continued. That allowed widespread participation. When interest rates are not seeing a secular rally in terms of lower interest rates, that part of capturing the rally becomes, more the job of the fund manager rather than the asset allocator. So the asset allocator would probably do well to, put some money in liquid or money market funds. A higher weight should be given to, the shorter or medium term funds, and some weight should be given to the longer term government securities funds or income funds, where the fund manager uses their own discretion in generating returns for the fund for the investors. So passive funds, takes out that glamour or that uncertainty element completely in investing. So I think there is room for passive funds, and probably this is a time when passive funds will do well, because there are lesser opportunities to make capital gains from longer term bonds. But the time will come, a cycle will come when the active funds will outperform the passive funds. So our own design of limited active, takes elements from both the passive fund and the active fund. So, we are right in the middle. So we have, no qualms against either styles.
Fantastic, folks. So on that, I like what Sandeep said. There's no right or wrong. Because that's very important for you to remember. Don't ever go blindly with one school of thought or say कि सारी दुनिया passive बोल रही है, so even you have to go in passive. Please do your own research. Like Sandeep said, there's no right, there's no wrong. And folks, on that note, that's a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guest, Sandeep Bagla, CEO, Trust AMC. Sandeep, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Thank you so much, Anupam. I had a very enjoyable time talking to you and your podcast, IVM podcasts. So thanks a lot. I look forward to interacting more with you and your viewers going forward.
Sure. Hope to have you back. It's always good to have someone from the debt fund, and that also someone like you who passionately believes on the debt side of mutual fund. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And now the credit privilege tip of the week. Folks, maximize and manage your credit score well. Okay, keep track of your credit score. The RBI mandates that the companies that provide these credit scores to you need to give the first one to you free of cost. So check that out. You can check this out on their website. The companies that provide credit scores, check out the website, put in your PAN or whatever details you want, and check what your credit score is, maybe for the first time. And then some of these companies that work out the credit scores also have subscription products that help you to keep track of your credit score. And then figure that out, see how your credit score moves, and then change your credit habits. A high credit score is always a good thing if you want certain loans over your lifetime. Folks, that is the credit privilege tip of the week. And thank you, listeners, for listening to this episode. If you're enjoying this show, please do share it with your friends, family, and people that you know. That would be really helpful for us. You can listen to this show and other interesting shows on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm your host, Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter and B_50 on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening to Paisa Vaisa, presented by Cred, the most rewarding credit card bill payments app, and powered by Quantum.
No material on this show should be considered as financial advice. The material on this show is for informational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any investment decision.
Hi everybody, just wanted to ask everyone for a quick favor. We're running a brand survey right now and would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you think about the advertising on IVM. Go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and do let us know. As part of this, we'll be selecting 10 random participants and sending them some IVM swag, so do fill out those surveys. Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On FinTalks at Bob World, hosted by Akhil Handa, the Chief Digital Officer at Bank of Baroda, he talks to Vinay Bagri, co-founder and CEO at Neo. They discuss the neobank revolution in India. Really interesting conversation. Do check that out. On The Longest Constitution, Priya sheds light on how the illegality of sex work was challenged in court under the right to practice trade. On Smarter with Sid, we look at why Siddharth thinks mise en place is an important concept and what we can learn from it. On Agla Station Adulthood, join Ritasha and Ayushi as they talk about how decision-making is such a humongous task and how we can organize thoughts to take better decisions. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any other show for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and Inter. We appreciate the support.
முன்ன ஒரு காலத்துலன்னு ஆரம்பிச்சு நம்ம தாத்தா பாட்டி சொல்ற கதை நம்ம யாருக்குமே மறக்காது. ஸ்டோரி டைம் தமிழ் அந்த பொன்னான காலத்துக்கு உங்களை மறுபடியும் கூட்டிக்கிட்டு போக போகுது. ஹாய், ஸ்டோரி டைம் தமிழ் பாட்காஸ்டுக்காக உங்களுடன் ரவிசங்கர் பாலச்சந்திரன். பொழுதுபோக்கு மட்டும் இல்லாம உங்க குழந்தைகளுக்கு நல்ல நெறிகளை கற்பனையுடன் கூடிய கதைகளாக வழங்க வருகிறது ஸ்டோரி டைம் தமிழ் பாட்காஸ்ட். ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் புதிய புதிய கதைகளை IVM இணையதளத்திலையும் IVM பாட்காஸ்ட் ஆப்லையும் யூடியூப்லையும் மற்ற ஆடியோ தளங்களிலும் நீங்க கேட்கலாம்.